Hello everyone. In this video, we'll go over the Vocabulary Workshop Level Blue Unit 5 words. You can follow along at home using your book. Let's get started. Our first word is blemish. A blemish is a mark or stain that damages the appearance of something, a weakness or flaw. So a blemish can be a mark, a spot, or just anything that makes something look less perfect. It can be like a small stain or a scratch that you can see. It can also be something about a person's character or reputation that is not a very good way to see that person. Let's look at the example sentence. It says, the carpenter noticed a blemish in the finish of the cabinet. So a cabinet is like the wooden doors you would find in a kitchen that hold all of your cups and bowls and things like that. And since a blemish can be any mark or stain, then it might be something like this that was found on a piece of wood. The word blemish is also often used to talk about these marks that sometimes people have on their faces. So I might say something like, her cheek is covered in blemishes, or she uses makeup to cover her blemishes. This word is also often used when talking about marks that you might find on some fruits like apples. I could say the apple had a small blemish on one side, but it was still good to eat. In this picture too, you can see that the person got some food on their shirt. So I might say the stain left a blemish on the white shirt. So now there will be some kind of mark left on that shirt. So again, anytime you have a mark or a spot that makes something look less perfect than it should be, we can call that a blemish. The next word is blunt. Blunt can be used as an adjective or as a verb. As an adjective, it means having a dull point or edge, not sharp. It can also mean honest, but insensitive in manner. The example says, my uncle gave me some blunt advice. So let's talk about the first meaning of the adjective, having a dull point or edge, not sharp. Anytime that you have something like a knife or a pencil, for example, that is not very sharp, we can call it blunt. So here in the video, you can see there's a dull knife that when you cut the tomato with it, it's kind of breaking up the tomato because it's not very sharp. And then over here, there is an example of a very sharp knife, which would cut it easily right away. So blunt can also be a way to describe something that is dull or not sharp. You could also say something like, I need to sharpen my pencil because the tip is too blunt. It's not sharp. And the second meaning of blunt is honest but insensitive in manner. So it's a person who speaks very directly and very honestly, but the things they say might hurt someone's feelings. So that person is not thinking about the person's feelings, they're just being honest about what they say. For example, if someone says, I'm so tired every morning, and then their friend says, it's because you waste your time on your phone every night. Of course you're tired. Maybe this is honest and maybe this is true, but saying something like this so bluntly or in a blunt way might hurt her friend's feelings. For the verb of blunt, it means to make less sharp. For example, misuse will blunt a knife blade. And what this means is if you are using a knife incorrectly, that's what it means by misuse here, then that knife might become blunt. It will become less sharp. For example, if I'm using a knife to try to cut a rock or something like that, that's not what we're supposed to use it for, so it can damage the knife or make it blunt. The next word is capable. Capable is an adjective and it means able and prepared to do something, fit or skilled. For example, a capable teacher should be rewarded. So someone who is capable means they have the ability or the skill to do something well or very well. They are ready, they're able to do something, you can count on them to be able to do that thing. So they are capable. I could say something like, the firefighter was calm and capable during the emergency. He has many skills and he's prepared to do his job. Or I can say, he is a capable student who finishes his work on time. So I know that he will be able to finish the work on time since he is capable. I could also say something like, the dog is capable of learning many tricks. If we train our dogs correctly, they are very capable. They can learn easily, or they have the skills to do something. I can use it in a negative way by saying, he is not capable of tying his shoes by himself. Maybe he doesn't have the skill or he didn't learn how to do it yet. So I can use the word not in front of capable to talk about someone who doesn't have the skills to do something. The next word is conclude. Conclude is a verb and it means to finish, to bring something to an end, to decide after careful thought. When you conclude something, you are basically ending or finishing it. The example says, after electing a new secretary, the committee voted to conclude the meeting. This sentence might be a little bit confusing, but basically they're just saying that there was a meeting and after they did what they needed to do in that meeting, they concluded it or they finished the meeting. Some other ways I could use this word are, for example, here I could say, the teacher decided to conclude the lesson with a short review game. So maybe after the lesson was done, the teacher gave a game to the students so they could play and review. And that's how the lesson concluded. That's how it finished. Or I could say here, the class project concluded by giving presentations. So after everyone finished their project, the last thing to do was give the presentation. Then everything was concluded or done. And the other meaning of conclude, to decide after careful thought. An example of that would be, after looking at all the clues, the detective concluded that the door had been left unlocked. Maybe he was trying to solve the mystery of how a thief got inside of the house, and after carefully thinking and looking at all of the clues, he concluded, or he found the answer, that the door was left unlocked. I could also say something like, from her smile, I concluded that she was happy with her gift. So you can also conclude things or come to some decision or thought about something when you're looking at someone's emotions, like a smile. It can help you conclude or decide how someone is feeling. The next word is detect. Detect is a verb, and detect means to find or discover something, to notice. For example, a test may detect chemicals in the water supply. So scientists have created many things that can help people detect if things like their water is safe. For example, here, this tool can detect if the water is good for drinking or if there's any bacteria or harmful things inside of the water. It helps us find or discover something. I could also say something like, a smoke alarm can detect smoke in the house. So if there is smoke, this alarm is able to detect it, and then it will ring to let everyone know that there is some danger. I could also say, the dog could detect a strange smell near the tree. So it was able to find or discover this smell. So when you are detecting something, it can be something that's easily seen, or a lot of times it might be something that is hard to see, hear, or measure. So you're using some special kind of tool to detect it or to discover it. The next word is fatigue. Fatigue is a noun, and fatigue is weariness or exhaustion from work or lack of sleep. So when someone is fatigued, they are extremely tired. So they either worked too hard or maybe they got too much exercise. The example says, by the end of the day, I felt overcome with fatigue. I was full of fatigue. So here in this picture, maybe this worker was overcome with fatigue if she had too much work to do in that day. So you can see she looks extremely tired. Maybe she has no more energy and she just wants to sleep. I could also say, after the long hike, she felt deep fatigue in her legs. Maybe her legs felt very tired or exhausted after hiking for a very long time. We can also use fatigue as a verb, which means to make very tired. So the meaning is the same, just we're using it as an action now. The example says, the riders were warned not to fatigue the horses. So in this sentence, there were people who were riding horses and they were warned not to fatigue them, not to make them too tired. So maybe they were not allowed to go very fast on the horses or ride them for a long time. I could also say something like, working outside in the hot sun can fatigue even strong athletes. It can make them very tired. The next word is festive. Festive is an adjective, and festive is having to do with a feast or celebration. For example, decorations will help lend a festive atmosphere. When something is festive, it feels very cheerful, happy, and full of celebration. It's the kind of look or even mood that makes you think of a party or holiday or a special event. So I could say something like, the room looked festive with balloons, lights, and streamers. Or I can say, everyone wore bright colors to give the event a festive feeling. So in this picture here, everyone wore green to celebrate St. Patrick's Day. And when everyone is wearing very bright colors and they all look the same, it might feel very festive, very cheerful and energetic. And Christmas is often described as a festive season because people tend to decorate their homes and wear a lot of bright and colorful things. Our next word is hospitality. Hospitality is a noun, and hospitality is a friendly welcome and treatment of guests. So hospitality means being very warm, kind, and welcoming to guests. When someone shows hospitality, they make other people feel like they are being cared for, they're taken care of, and it makes them feel very comfortable. The example says, the innkeepers were famous for their hospitality. We often use this word hospitality to describe things like hotels or even restaurants, because they often want to make people feel like they are being taken care of and like they are welcome to stay there. So I could say something like, we thanked our host for their hospitality after the visit. Or I could say, this hotel is known for its excellent hospitality. This hotel is very good at taking care of the guests that come there. Good hospitality can include offering food, help, or a place to rest to someone. Have you ever gone to a hotel and received very good hospitality from the staff working at that hotel? It can be things like helping you bring your bags to your room, or cleaning up any mess that might be in the room, or maybe asking for some part of your meal to be changed because you have some kind of allergy. And if the staff is able to help you with all of this, then you can say there is good hospitality there. Our next word is nomad. Nomad is a noun, and a nomad is a member of a people who move from place to place. A person who roams aimlessly. For example, the adventurer lived the life of a nomad. So a nomad is like a person who moves from place to place instead of just staying home in one spot all the time. And it can also describe someone who likes to just wander around to different places without really having a plan about what they want to do. This word is often used to describe tribes of people who live in very remote places, like not in big cities. So I could say something like, the tribe lived like nomads, moving with their animals from place to place. Especially in the country called Mongolia, there are a lot of tribes of people or groups of people who might live with their animals and then move from place to place so that their animals always have some food to eat, or they might move depending on the weather, like moving south for the winter. I could also say something like, the desert nomads knew how to survive in harsh conditions. And you might find that this word is most often used when talking about people in the past from history, because these days there are less and less people who live like nomads, since most people have one home and they stay in that home all year. The next word is persecute. Persecute is a verb, and persecute means to treat unjustly or cause to suffer. So when someone persecutes a person or a group of people, they treat them very unfairly and they cause them to suffer again and again. They usually do that on purpose because of who the people are or what they believe in. For example, the dictator may try to persecute the minority group. So a lot of times in history, there are leaders of countries or dictators who end up persecuting the people that are the minorities or the people that there are less of in that place. So just as an example, let's say that these three people all believe in the same thing. They believe that stars are the best shape. But this person over here believes that squares are the best shape. Then they would be the minority. They are the less in this scenario. So the people who believe that stars are the best might end up persecuting this person. And when someone is persecuted, many different things could happen. They might be kicked out of the place where they live and told to go live somewhere else. They might be put in jail or prison just because of the things that they believe in. Or in some very serious cases, they might even be killed for what they believe in. So it is wrong to persecute people, and it's something that no one should ever do. A lot of times this word will be used again to talk about things from the past, like kings who used their power to persecute innocent people who maybe didn't agree with them or who thought that what they were doing was wrong. The next word is supreme. Supreme is an adjective, and supreme means highest in power, rank, authority, quality, or degree. For example, he acted as if giving up his seat were the supreme sacrifice. So supreme is the highest or greatest thing. It can be most powerful, most important, or the very best. In this example, the person did not want to give up their seat. And when they had to give up their seat, they acted like it was a very big sacrifice, like it was something super difficult, even though it really wasn't. But some examples of how we can use this word supreme to mean the greatest, I could say something like, the king had supreme power over the kingdom. So it was the greatest or the strongest power. It was supreme. I could also say something like, winning the championship was the team's supreme goal. It was the highest goal that they had. In this picture here, this person is doing a very dangerous job. They're cleaning windows on the side of a very tall building. So I could say something like, for this job, safety should be our supreme concern. It should be the thing that we are most worried about. So we can use this word supreme before a noun because it is describing what is the highest or the most important or the greatest thing. You might hear this word often used together with words like sacrifice or supreme power, supreme concern, or supreme goal. Our last word is transport. Transport can be used as a verb or a noun. As a verb, it means to move or carry from one place to another. For example, a mover was hired to transport the furniture. So they're moving the furniture from one place to another. I could also say something like trucks transport food from farms to stores. Or a ship was used to transport cars across the ocean. So we are moving things from one place to another place. And we can also use transport as a noun. As a noun, it's talking about the actual vehicle that's used to move things from place to place, or the act or process of moving something from one place to another. For example, the ocean liner, which is just a very big ship, was used as a troop transport during the war. So we are talking about the actual vehicle here. So another example of that would be buses provide transport for students going to school. Or I could say the train is an easy form of transport in the city. So we're still talking about the vehicle in the sentence, but we are calling it a transport or a form of transport, a form of moving around from place to place. And that's all for this video. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you next time. Bye!